All right, people, good afternoon. What is going on? Hope you guys are doing well. We've got snap counts. It's time for Snap Count Monday, where we just take a look at how much players played for the Seahawks in the most recent game to try to get a feel for how well they're rotating, how well they're getting different players, different packages, different looks on the field, and basically giving everybody an opportunity to contribute while also trying to keep things balanced so they can have a good season in totality. So, you guys know the drill by now. You guys kind of have an idea of what we're looking for, what's interesting, what's not so interesting. So, let's go ahead and start with the offensive side of the ball, and 61 snaps total. That was what they gave us. And that's pretty decent. It's not great. It's not bad. It's workable. It's totally fine. Back with more after this 60-second promo. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. All right, welcome back. So 61 snaps. Of those 61 snaps, you can see the running backs, almost an even split. 34 snaps for Charbonnet, 27 for Walker, which makes sense in a game where you're passing the ball a lot because you need Charbonnet out there for passing downs. And so far this season, we're doing a really good job of splitting the action between Walker and Charbonnet. 134 snaps for Walker, or 134. 131 for Sharb. And keep in mind, Charbonnet didn't miss a game. But again, he's going to get more snaps in general just because that's the guy you trust on passing downs. Okay, nope, nothing for anybody else. Robbie Oots is obviously out, and he's going to miss at least 2 more games. Wide receivers. You can see JSN earning more and more trust and more respect as the season goes on. Second week in a row, he leads the receiver room in total snap count. And that may not seem like a big deal or a big surprise, but I think that there was a plan to have Cooper Kupp be the featured receiver and get more snaps this year. Maybe not be the featured receiver, but get more snaps because he's a superior run blocker. But JSN is playing so good right now, I think it's kind of superseding that. So 55 snaps there. Cooper Kupp got 54, and he played a pretty good game as well. So we're getting a decent return on investment there. And we got Torrey Horton playing about half the game, 30 snaps. Works for me. He was effective in those 30 snaps. Jake Bobo got 5 snaps. Probably would have gotten more, but he got hit with a holding call that took a pretty decent run back. So, look, if Bobo's going to be doing stuff like that, he needs to not play, really. He plays so little as is, and he contributes so little as a receiver. If you're going to be a net negative blocking, no, that's not gonna hack it. And Derek Young, 4 snaps, and he made probably the biggest plays of his NFL career so far. He had a big catch. He had a couple of big kick returns. He's putting in work right now. Derek Young is legitimately like your sleeper. I'm not going to say MVP of the team or anything because he's not, but he is under the radar doing really good work right now. All right, nothing for Cody White, who was healthy, but no need for him to play. Tight ends. AJ Barner, again, playing close to the whole game. Not the whole game. 49 out of 61 snaps, still a very good number. He's played 80% of the snaps about so far this season. So he is really become a full-time tight end. And we knew he could block. We knew he had size. We knew he had those attributes. But he's turning into something as a receiver that was hard to see coming. I liked AJ Barner. I thought he was going to be good, and I was excited for him this year. I was optimistic about that, but I I certainly didn't think we were going to be at this point already. And it makes it all the more frustrating that we invested such a high pick on a guy like Elijah Arroyo, who was basically a non-factor in the offense on Sunday and only played 26 snaps. So he has become the clear number 2 in this offense. And part of that is because he can't block, which we knew. But even as a receiver, he's kind of a non-factor. That was probably the best game our passing attack is going to have all year, and Arroyo was not part of it. So it's not coming along the way we were hoping. I know that he's raw. I know that there is probably some understanding that this is not going to be just a guy who hits the ground running. But you take a guy in the top 50 of the draft, I think you have higher expectations than this. 26 is 61 snaps and only 1 catch. I don't know. Eric Saubert's 17 snaps, so he's still getting out there an okay amount for a player of his caliber and of his contract. Brady Russell, by the way, complete afterthought in this offense. When Oots went down, I thought Brady Russell would kind of replace him for a little bit, but instead we basically have just thrown out the fullback offense, or at least in the traditional sense. Like, Brady Russell is not really supplanting Oots at all. We've just kind of thrown that part of our playbook out, it feels like. Okay, so near as I could tell, all the starting offensive linemen for the Seahawks played every snap, and none of the backups played. But I am getting this data from a site that is not my typical site, and they do not post up offensive line numbers. So I could be wrong. I could have missed something there. I'll go back and fix it later if I did. But we didn't have any offensive lineman injuries, and I don't think we ever went jumbo, so I believe this is accurate. Okay, so that's the offense. Not much to report in terms of like a shock or a surprise, but we're doing a good job. As near as I can tell, we are doing a good job keeping things balanced. We're doing a good job keeping everything on an even keel. Defense, 61 snaps, and if that number sounds familiar, it should, because that's the same as our offense. So perfect equilibrium, I guess. Although, obviously, as a Seahawks fan, you would prefer the Seahawks have more snaps on offense than the other team. But objectively speaking, I guess that's perfect balance. So, as of right now, the defense has 339 snaps total. The offense has 301. So, we still have a deficit we need to get into here. Let's go through the individual snap count. So, no defensive lineman played more than 50 snaps, which I do like. Leonard Williams played 47. Byron Murphy played 39. And Jarran Reed played 36. So that's a pretty good spread. With the way this team is set up right now, with the way this team is put together, Jarran Reed playing slightly more than half the game, Byron Murphy playing about 2/3 of the game, and Leonard Williams playing about 3/4 of the game, I think we've got the right pattern here. I think this is a pretty strong pattern. And I think that if we can keep that up, we are going to be in about as good a place as you could hope. Brandon Peely actually got double-digit snaps in this game. He got 10 reps. So I think that's the most. Well, yeah, it would be the most of his career. And I didn't have a strong impression of him one way or the other from this game, but it's good to see him get out there a little bit. I mean, we stopped the run in this game. I can at least say that, right? The defensive line had problems, but we did stuff the run. And a guy like Peely is here only for that. Mike Morris played 24 snaps, which is pretty significant. Pretty sure almost all of it, if not all of it, was on the edge, though, because that's where we need him because of all the injuries we have at edge. So take this for what it is. 24 snaps, though. Do not mind that. Linebacker, off-ball linebacker, tells a fairly compelling story. We got Ernest Jones playing the whole game, of course. He's going to play every snap in games that are actually meaningful. Moments that are meaningful, anyway. And Tyrese Knight and Drake Thomas basically got half the game each. Knight got 30, Thomas got 25. And I think both guys don't look very good right now. Now, again, with Knight, I can understand he had such a weird offseason. He's probably still trying to work himself back into shape. But either way, there's not a good solution right now. Like, Knight looked awful, and then we put Thomas in. I thought Thomas looked really bad. Like, there's a big, big hole right there right now. And I hate to say this, because I was actually really happy that it seemed like we were getting starter caliber play out of a 4th-round rookie in Tyrese Knight. But if this doesn't get better, like now, if we don't believe this is going to start trending in the right direction this moment, we probably need to go get something that is at the very least playable. Because honestly, for a good chunk of that game on Sunday, I thought Knight and Thomas both looked fairly unplayable. Okay, so that's a problem, and you can see, I think you can see it in the snap count. They can't figure out what to do because neither guy is doing anything good. Well, that's not entirely true, but neither guy is giving any indication that there's somebody worth trusting down the line. So this is a problem. Need to figure something out. Edge rusher, really, really tragic here because of the injuries. We still managed to keep things fairly reasonable. Nwosu led the team in edge snaps with 46, which is not an unreasonable number of snaps. You'd prefer he play a little bit less just because he is, he's not Myles Garrett or TJ Watt, but this is fine. Boye Mafe, 45 snaps, which, okay, reasonable. Derek Hall gets 8 before he gets hurt, and that's it. That's why Mike Morris played so much, that we needed another edge guy. And I'm sure there was a lot of other creativity going on in that game so we could at least have 2 edges on the field. So the snap counts are more or less fine, especially given the circumstance. The problem is the production. There was none. Nwosu and Mafe, not a big impact in that game. Nwosu had a half a sack. But Mafe, man, we are 5 games in, no sacks. I don't think he's playing poorly, but he's not making those bucks. He's not making the bucks right now. There's no other way to put it. Really need D-Law back sooner rather than later, and get well soon Hall, because he was, I already made a video about this, he was in the middle of a mini breakout. He was looking a lot better to me than he did last year, even without sacks, and now for all we know, he's going to miss a month. So please get well soon, Derek Hall. Okay, cornerback. We're moving to the secondary now. Things get really muddy here. Josh Jobe was the corner that played the whole game, 61 snaps. Woolen played 37, and then he got hurt. And we learned the hard way that as much as Reek Woolen isn't living up to his billing this year so far, he is the best that we can do. And I think that what happened yesterday needs to kind of put ice on the idea of trading Woolen or replacing Woolen with somebody like Darion Kendrick or Nehemiah Pritchett. It's just not going to happen. I thought Darion Kendrick was pretty bad out there. He only played 19 snaps, and there were multiple times where he stood out to me as somebody who just couldn't hang. Nehemiah Pritchett really couldn't hang. No chance whatsoever. And I liked Nehemiah Pritchett in college. I liked that pick. But he should be further along right now than he is. He was a 5th-round pick. He's been on this team for a year and a half. Nehemiah Pritchett should be at the very least playable. And he was not playable yesterday. Not at all. He wasn't even bad. Bad would imply you're hanging in there on some level. Pritchett was unplayable. He was beyond bad. And safety, wrapping us up. Pretty simple here. Kobe Bryant and Ty Okada played all 61 snaps. D'Anthony Bell gets 2 snaps, which is interesting because he got a half sack on one of them. Trying to mix it up there a little bit. I guess it worked. And Eamon Wari, 39 snaps. So first game back, he plays, what are we talking about there? About 2/3 of the game. Pretty good, pretty strong, pretty encouraging. Good to see. I think he played well. Yeah, we may be leaning on Eamon Wari a lot more than we initially thought once we get back on track here on Sunday. But that's it for Snap Count Monday. So what do you guys think? Any particularly notable things going on here for the Seahawks? You guys know I like looking at this stuff, but it's just really tough right now because they are beat up. This team is very beat up, but they're going to need something a little bit more than what they got on Sunday. Like, I don't care who's out there. Okay, Nehemiah Pritchett is not some random dude you picked up off the street 3 days ago. He's been on this team for a year and a half. He needs to at least be somewhat playable. Somebody like Darion Kendrick. Darion Kendrick is an NFL player. This is not some CFL guy you signed as a lark 3 days before the game started. He needs to not be that bad. Okay. More videos coming later. See you guys soon. Go Hawks. And yeah, there's your Snap Count Monday.